and this is ENG4E, Grade 12 Workplace English. I'd like to welcome everyone listening across the north today at Homeware Learning Center or in Bell Expressview. To call and join our class, and call 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017 or 2983 in the Sioux Lookout, Lac Seul, or Dryden areas. I'd like to welcome everyone back to class today. This is our last class of the week. Also to let everyone know that the Wausau office will be closed tomorrow. We're having a full day professional development with all the staff, so the office will be closed. And also there is no class on Monday. It is the Victoria Day long weekend. And as a result of that, the office is closed and there are no classes. So our next class will be on Tuesday. What we are looking at today is we are looking at key question 33. So we finished reading our course novel. We're finished completely donezo. And now we're looking at using what we read and the work that we did throughout the novel study in a couple of different ways. So the first thing we're going to do, and this uses your double entry journal that you were doing and completing, or should have been doing and completing throughout the entire course, in your character sketch. So your character sketch is a written description of a couple of different areas. We're going to be looking at, as far as looking at their physical, mental, emotional, conflict, and personality traits of ours. And we're going to be focusing in on Tiffany Hunter. That is the character you've been doing your double entry journal on for the entire course. And that's what we are going to be focusing in on. And we're going to work through this question probably for most of the class today. I'm going to do some examples. Then I'll give you a break and give you time to work on that section. Then we'll come back, do a bit more, and take a bit of a break. We'll work through it slowly. If you are not sure of a certain section, when we come back off the break, let me know. And if you are still stuck, give me a call. Even though the office is closed tomorrow, I will have my cell phone on me, so I'm available via Facebook, email, and on my cell phone. I will be out of town on the weekend, but I will still have my cell phone on. If it's an emergency, you can get a hold of me through email or Facebook or my cell phone. And then I'll be back in the office on Tuesday and answer. Let's have a Bridget tutoring session for any students who need it on Tuesday. So why don't you think about all of that, and we're going to start with key question 33. So this can be done either on line paper, or it can be done on a computer. I would recommend using a computer just because it's easier to make corrections and all that. As well, it's easier to double space and move things around. Where you have a line paper and you're trying to erase and move stuff around, it gets pretty messy. So we're going to start with this. So your character sketch, we talked, it's written description of a character. You must go by the quotes analysis you did in your double entry journal. So question 34 says you want to complete these areas. So we're going to start off by opening up a new Microsoft Word document. And I'm going to give it a title. So we're going to give it a quick title at the top. We're going to call it Character Sketch. Our character is Tiffany Hunter. Okay, So make this a bit bigger, it's easier to see. And then we're going to start off just by doing it the easiest way to start off with this is to do it start with point form. Makes it a bit easier to do. And it allows you to change your ideas around. So, first area we're going to look at is her physical description. How would you describe her? So, we'll play our category here. Physical description. So, think, how would you describe Tiffany? So, well, first we know, and where do you get that information from? So, if we look at this, is where your double entry journal would really come in helpful. That's why I really encourage you to finish it off. So, you know that she's 16 years old. She tells us that. And we know she's from Otter Lake. And she is First Nations. And all that information comes to us from page number 9. So if you had that in your double entry journal, you could write that down. I would like you to try to include 1 to 2 quotes or 1 or 2 points where this comes from. It can come from either the quote itself or the analysis that you did. But give me the page number so I know kind of where you're looking at, where you're pulling your information from. What else do we know about her physical? What does she look like? How does she act? Think about that. So that's what we know for a fact that we have wrote down. So things you want to consider when you look at the physical description and also are, is she tall, short, skinny, what's her hair color? Think about it, if you were to ask to physically describe her, how would you describe her? Oh, she's 16 years old from our she's First Nations. She's really tall, has long black hair, has blue eyes somehow. Like, how would you describe her? So think about that. Now, a lot of this information, if you're looking for it, you can find that in chapters 2, 3, and 5 in the novel. The very beginning talks a lot about the description. The author, Drew Hayden Taylor, spends a lot of time describing her Tiffany's character in the opening chapters. There's a lot of description, not only for Tiffany, but also for Pierre, Granny Ruth, and Keith and Tony as well. It's a lot of description for them. So you can find it in those chapters. So our next big area we're going to look at is her emotional status. So when you think of this, you want to think about what are her emotions at each part of the novel. And we're looking at 3 parts. At the beginning, the middle, and the end. So now, one thing to keep in mind is this story takes place over 3 days. Pierre arrives late on Friday. Oh, sorry. Pierre arrives Thursday night. And then, so there's school on Friday. And then they go out. Then Tiffany ditches Darling Kim to go out to the bush party with Tony. Saturday, she goes to see Darling Kim, goes home, and talks to Granny Ruth, has a fight with her dad about her status report, and then leaves the house, and Tony picks her up. And then it's when he breaks up with her, and she walks home. Sunday mornings when she runs off and hides in the woods. Pierre finds her on Sunday night, early Monday morning, and then they have the heart-to-heart, and they discuss about Pierre being a vampire and the ramifications of that. And then it ends when she goes back home on early Monday morning and finds Granny was still waiting up for her with her father gone. So it takes place over a pretty short time. So think about the beginning, middle, and end. The beginning is at the beginning of the novel, and events that are described before the novel begins. So talking about how Tiffany and Tony met, what happened with Keith and Claudia, his wife, that left him. All those things that happened before the novel started. The middle is pretty much from Friday morning when she gets booted out of gets her room back, and then goes to school, goes to the bush party, until Sunday morning when she has a big fight with Keith and stomps off, and even that you can count that as well. And the end is what's it like on Monday morning, the end of the novel. What's it like? What's her emotions then? So that's beginning, middle, and end. So I want to look at the beginning together, and then I want you to try and do the middle and the end. So at the beginning, what emotion does she feel at the beginning? Well, she's happy and in love with Tony. So do that in point form. She's also angry at her father and, I'll say by extension, her mother for the situation at home. So those are the emotions. She's happy, love, and she's angry at the beginning of the novel, based on everything we looked at and based on your double entry journal. So what I'd like to do now is have you give it a try to look at completing the middle and the end. You can just do this just in point form. But take about, let's say about 4 minutes or so. Just don't take too long, but try and think about what you would do at the beginning, or what's her emotion like at the middle of the novel, and what's she like at the end. So it takes a bit of time to work on this. We'll come back from our break. We'll go over this, and we'll look at her mental status. Take a bit of a break to work on that as well. Then we'll look at personality traits and conflicts. So take about 4 minutes or so, and then we'll come back after that. I'll talk to you then.